Some people are really fucking stupid. Did you ever notice that? How many really stupid people you run into during the day? Carry a little pad and pencil with you. You wind up with 30 or 40 names by the end of the day. Look at it this way. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that. And it doesn't take you very long to spot one of them, does it? Take you about 8 seconds. You'll be listening to some guy. You say, this guy is fucking stupid. Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're full of shit. That doesn't take very long to spot either, does it? Take you about the same amount of time. You'll be listening to some guy and say, well, he's fairly intelligent. He's full of shit. Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're not full of shit, they're fucking nuts!
As we are, putting this episode into a watch party at Miss Donna Phelps, Mr. Jimmy Phelps, that sound is for Donna. I feel like that's akin to, how she feels about some people out there and is not afraid to talk about it. Right, Donna? Wow, love you. Thanks for having us. Welcome to the Rhythm Section Podcast, everyone. We're here to shine spotlight on Greater Memphis and North Mississippi's vibrant music community by unveiling the incredible stories of our talented artists. Produced by SRP Studios, podcast-powered branding for business growth. Go to srpstudiosllc.com for a free consultation.
I love you more, Donna. Tune in every Wednesday morning for fresh episodes on Apple and Spotify. Join us at 6 p.m. Central on YouTube and Facebook for Wednesday video releases. For all the details, visit therhythmsectionpod.com.
This episode is presented to you by Hempville CBD Southaven, whose mission is breaking people's dependency on Big Pharma. Discover life-changing CBD products and Delta-8 THC alternatives to opiates and prescription medicines.
Use promo code TRS20 for an exclusive 20% off purchases at hempvillecbd.com and enjoy free shipping for orders $50 and up. And please visit their store at 562 East Goodman Road, Southaven, Mississippi. And when you write things by hand in there, you confuse me.
Oh, I gave you the wrong one. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram and catch the Hempville CBD podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Its purpose is to give you hemp education and market awareness. The best way to support this educational podcast is to subscribe to Ben Cooey's channel. Click the link in the description and hit that subscribe button. Visit hempvillecbd.com for all information. People don't understand that it took us a minute to start this show, and even then, we're fumbling and bumbling.
Dooba dooba dooba. People have come to expect nothing less.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the season finale, everyone. And as I mentioned in the intro there, it's a special episode because we have a small watch party at the Phelps house right now. So you guys are awesome. Thank you.
They delayed their rocket ship trip to Mars for us to have a watch party.
I think that's next month.
Yeah.
So today's episode is John Roth, Winger and Starship. So much to cover with that gentleman. So please stick around for that. We would love to have you listen to his story. How are you doing, gentlemen? We got the Mr., the best, the guy, Kenny Francis with us today.
Woo-hoo! Hello.
Yeah, so
he brought beads.
Yes. He forced his way on the show today.
By gunpoint.
He's like, hey, you guys want some company? We're like, let's go.
Of course.
It's your weekend off. You're home every 14 days, so yeah. I'm glad that you and Tina is here. She's off camera. You want to say hello, Tina? Just really loud, say hi. Hi. There it is. So thanks for being here. Yeah, let's have you up, man. You have broken your own record. Now you've been on the show 4 times in total. So you held the record at 3. Now you hold it at 4. And very special in that mix, you're the only co-host to fill in for Jeff.
Thank you.
So that's pretty neat.
I feel honored.
I'm sure Kenny thinks that he's reached a high pinnacle of his life.
He's walking in this studio. Boom! Boom! Yes, he owns this place.
I know. I ran into Shawn Few at Extreme Friday night, and he's like, "Man, you're getting to be a normal person on there." I'm like,
That's right. Sean, you can too. Come on down.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on in.
He too is gone. He's not 2 weeks in a row, but he's gone Monday through Friday as well.
Yeah.
Right? On the road?
Yeah, he works on the road. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think he's over the road, but, well, yeah, he is too. I think he stays in a hotel a lot of times.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's
Yeah,
gone.
that was a rare night off for him.
Yep.
I'm sure. And then they just, him and the 6 Feet Thunder guys did the Florida trip.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're all using vacation time for that. It looks fun. All these guys and their significant others out there together at Disneyland. It looked a lot of fun. So
Lucky.
so, well, cool. Well, what do you guys got? Kenny, what do you got going on? You just did a car show, correct?
Yeah. We were at we took the Bullet to Jackson, Tennessee for a car show there, and it was fun. They had every make and model you could think of, including the very first Ford to the very latest Ford. And
Yeah.
we sat next to this guy in a 1970 Cadillac convertible, and he was pimped out, white trench coat, hat like this except it was white, and he was like our DJ. He cranked up his stereo with
Nice.
different tunes and stuff. And
Did you see any Ford Focuses or Escorts?
no, but
That would have been hilarious. Like someone,
no
renovated a Ford Escort. That would be hilarious. I owned one, that's why. And a Ford Focus, which was...
They had a Focus SVT at one time, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yes.
Well, I don't
This
know.
little sporty version.
Yeah, it was
Mine was a SHIT. Oh, my God.
I hear you.
There was a couple imports like a first gen Civic, and the latest Corolla was there. There were only 2 vets there.
Really?
A 65 and then a C8 Stingray R, whatever that is. You might know.
I don't know what that is.
I certainly don't.
Yeah, only 2 vets
Yeah.
out of 250.
How does that
cars.
make you feel, Jeff?
That's pretty disappointing, even though
was.
I wasn't there.
It was.
Yeah.
There's a 70 fastback Mustang.
Yeah.
It was mint. It was gorgeous.
Mint. I haven't heard that in a while. That's a New England thing, too. That thing's mint, dude.
Yep.
You don't pronounce the T, though. It's mint.
Mint.
Mint. Jeff's look on his face is like, hello?
I'm getting text messages while we're talking, so I'm throwing my phone on the floor so
there
it
you go.
doesn't distract me.
Well, cool. Let's do a selfish promotion here.
Yeah.
My good friends of Elevation Memphis and the Tina Turner Tribute Experience, as you watch this on Publish Day, is just a few days away at Neil's, March 23rd, Saturday that is. We'd love to see you. As you all know by now, I'm a part of this band. And, of course, me and Jeff, absolutely, we try to promote our own bands, Gen X,
Sure.
Elevation Memphis, and we would love to have you there. The post out there is that it's sold out. You'll see that.
Yeah, it
But
is,
as you
because
know,
I called to get a table and I
Right.
couldn't.
So as you know how Neil's works, though, doesn't
Yeah.
mean you still can't come.
Yeah,
know, and
The cool people stand in the back.
right, and as you know, if you're a frequent to Neil's, not everybody shows up.
Yep.
So then eventually, as the night goes, you can pick these free seats. But we would love to have you. Now, I want to announce the name of the band again. And as you know, if you pay attention to this show, in my idiocy, I never got the dancers' names. I would name all the band and then sound like a total asshole and in reality kind of be an asshole to not have their names. It's so rude. So I did my research today. So we got LaShawn Robinson, Melanie Pierce, Darren Lee, Josh Haynes, Kyla Williams, who's our new drummer. She's amazing. Karen Dillard Brown, Gina Moore, myself, and then the dancers. We have dancer and dance choreographer Carmen Brianna and dancer Kelsey Matthews. Yes.
Way to go.
We finally did it. We served them the right respect. So I apologize to Kelsey and Carmen for, not mentioning your names ever for the last 7 times I bring this band up.
And if you put enough money in the tip bucket, Derek comes out and he does a little jig with them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I Carmen learned everything from me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, I always say, hey, if you need some tips,
Yeah.
let me know. I'll help you out. A little 2-step, a little little buck tooth out there like the white boy. You know what I'm saying?
If anyone saw the two of us try to dance, they would swear to God we were in no way a rhythm section.
Little James Brown shuffle.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. We're a very white rhythm section, I'll
As
say that.
white as it gets, no doubt.
So, Jeff, you're doing something cool coming up. You're going on a trip to go buy a vehicle.
But I want to talk about what I did past first, because Matt Montgomery, as cool as he is.
Of course, yes.
Matt took me to see Tesla in Nashville at the Ryman Auditorium, and it was an absolute blast.
How lucky are you?
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and actually, Matt didn't invite me. I kind of invited myself, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm glad I did it. But I think, I don't remember where we were. We were talking, and he mentioned he was going to see him, and I said, well, can I tag along? Well, sure. So that's how it happened. So,
Eyes rolled. Oh,
yep.
Man.
So we got to go in for a sound check, and Matt took a guitar to get all of them to sign his guitar, and I met Jeff Keith, which was very cool. It's pretty funny. We walked in, and Jeff was the first person that we saw. He and Matt are talking like they've known each other forever, which they probably have. And then he looks over at me like, who is this dude standing here? And I just kind of stuck my hand out to shake his hand, and he said, hi, man, I'm Jeff. And I said, I know. I'm Jeff, too. I know exactly who you are, so I geeked out a little bit. So it was pretty cool, though.
That is cool. How was the show?
Great.
Yeah.
If my first time to see them.
And who else was with them?
The opening act was a guy named Kurt Dimer, and he is actually an actor. He's been in like some Halloween movies. So
how early on in the movie was he killed?
I have no idea.
That will tell you everything you need to know.
It was pretty interesting when their show started. The big lighting screen behind them was playing some.
Okay.
The intro was from Halloween.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, how the hell does this tie together? And then later I heard that he was an actor and he'd been in the movie and all that.
That would have been cool if they played his murder scene.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so then now you're going to Florida next week, right?
Yeah.
Or this weekend coming up.
Weekend, yeah, I'm going to go to Florida. I found a truck that I'm going to pick up and bring home. So
Jeff's the only guy I know that will travel across the country to buy a vehicle.
You can't find them locally. It's an older Toyota 4Runner, and to find one that's in good condition, they're hard to find.
Yeah.
So if you want one, you got to travel.
Awesome. Let's before we break into the band sponsors here, let's, being the season finale, let's give out proper thank yous. Okay,
Yeah, let's do that.
So of course, the sponsors and advertisers are what helps fuel this. And no bigger than Ben Cooey and Hempville to really step up as our title. We've had an opportunity to promote his legal marijuana, cannabis for the last 10 weeks. He's been great and generous. As you've seen, we've had his logo and everything, and that's part of the deal, his title. We just try to give our title sponsor and advertiser as much reach as possible. He's been very happy about the reach he's been getting. So thank you for all the shares and everything. The audience is going to get its proper thank you here in a minute. And then, of course, our band sponsors. And we always going to start with Shawn Few because he is the one that started it. He approached us first. How can I help? And we came up with this idea on announcing band dates for any band that wanted to sponsor and be on the show, and that set the tone, and it opened up the gates for other bands to listen to that, hear that, and be like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And that's quite honestly how the next three came in: Area 51, Seeing Red, and then Fevertree. Thank you all for doing that. And last season we had Land Divided and Jacob Turner, as a solo artist too. So thanks to Trip for that as well for last season. So it does really help fuel the system.
Yeah,
right?
and Shawn is partly responsible for the intro music you hear.
Yes, I mean this is him
Yeah.
and Jimmy Fulp. Everyone in the living room right now.
Yes.
Listen to this music. Your boy Jimmy Fulp. Jimmy's probably over by like the food area, so go tap him on the shoulder and tell him you love him.
Yep.
Oops, and there's a mixture. You want to hear all three songs at once?
That's painful. All right.
So thank
they
you
need
to
they
the
need to play
bands.
that live. Either Other 51 or one of Sean's bands. They need to play that live with the lyrics.
Sure.
Sean is also responsible for Sweet Pear T-shirts.
Yes, which mine has a big stain on it.
What?
I had to retire. A black shirt. I managed to stain a black shirt.
All right,
Promise
Sean,
you.
we're putting in an order for a double extra large Sweet Pear T-shirt, please.
But the band thing, before we move on, the band thing is very special and cool because it's a weird ask for us to pitch to a band, hey, do you want to pay us to promote you? That is weird because we want the bands to make the money.
Right.
But the fact that they all pushed and came to us with, wanting to help, we can't thank you guys enough. And that really just tells you a lot and tells you everything you need to know about the, as you can see our shirts here, the Memphis music family. And we're representing St. Patty's Day here, as you'll see Kenny's hat too, which is pretty sharp.
Thank you.
Look at that. I mean,
$6 at Walmart.
you look sexy. Yes, sir. Man, heating this room up. All right, so what is this show without guests? It's the Derek and Jeff show, and that is canceled.
That would suck.
45 episodes ago. Yeah. So let's thank our guests for this season. We had Cristobaldo 2.0 opening up this season. He closed season 2.
Yep.
We left a lot on the table. We had him back. Last season was audio only, so we were able to have him back and have his pretty face on the camera.
Yeah.
And the second episode, the first one of this season, really goes deep into the music business and the negatives of it. And what it's like to, be in a national touring act and leaving it and the trials and tribulations of that. It's very interesting, and Chris was very open with that information, and we thank him for that. Then we have Sarah Spain after him. Thank you, Sarah, from Landslide. Then we had your boys, Jeff, Kevin Greenberg, and Kevin Koss from Gen X. You want to hold up that sign, Kenny? Yeah. The great Tina Hines made this for Jeff and the boys. Look at that.
It's coming soon in a very large stage banner.
I would say it's a square canvas, 12-inch square canvas. You think about
Probably.
that?
That's what it looks like.
With Generation X's logo on it. Really cool. Good stuff. Thank you, Tina. That's awesome. I'll be looking for the rhythm section one.
Spinal Tap size.
Just kidding. Okay, then Debbie Jameson came in.
Yes.
Now we're just tapping into some massive history there in Memphis. The Deb Jam Band, as you know, catch them every Tuesday night at Neil's. They've been there for years. Every Tuesday, playing some good music, and it's free to go. They don't sell. They don't charge you at the door on Tuesday nights. Then we had Brian Hall and Brad Riles from Five for the Kill, the latest up and coming band, and Emma Caroline from 901 Rocks. Thank you, Nick Ireland from Hairspray Nation and Land Divided.
Uncle Riri.
Julian Wong, from formerly known as the
world's most laid-back guitar player.
Most laid-back, chill dude. Davey Dave Smith last week.
Joshine Corporation.
Yes, and we definitely got some feedback. A lot of people saying, you guys had a little too much fun on that show.
That was probably one of my favorites of the season. That one and Cristobaldo.
Yeah.
You got a little raunchy. Again, the word taint. I gotta finish the season off with at least saying that word once, twice, taint. So good stuff. Check it out. But aside from the Joshine talk and all that craziness, man, he is
musical history is off the charts.
I mean, a studio bassist and a live bassist, but really his history is in the studio as a session bassist, and he's played with everybody, right down to B.B. King, Al Green, Wilson Pickett.
18 playing for Christopher Cross?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
What?
Insane.
Yeah, the story goes, it was his first session, as the story goes. He's just there, fly on the wall, and the bass player gets really sick and can't do it. And Davey's friend is like, hey, Dave plays bass. And he's like, and they ask him, hey, do you have your bass? He's like, no. They're like, go get his bass. I forget the original bass player's name.
Yeah.
So he gets in his car and goes to where he knows he's staying, and had to ask the guy, hey, can I use your bass? They're going to have me track on it. That was awkward.
I think you said Christopher Cross, but it was Chris Christopherson. Is that right?
Yeah, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, he said Christopher Cross. I think
Christopher Cross and Rita Coolidge.
Oh,
No, it's Chris Christopherson.
Was it?
yeah.
My bad.
You're confusing.
Still.
Don't confuse the
Dude,
host.
now you're making me question it because, dude, I'm the last guy. You know.
Yeah.
You don't remember my name?
Either way,
That's still amazing.
that's
Being your
his
first
yes.
session
Yep.
with those two amazing
Yeah,
artists.
the guy's name was Chris.
Yeah. Right. And had to ask the bass player, "Hey, I'm taking your place, and can I use your bass?"
Right.
How awkward was that?
I'd like your job and your gear.
That's right. And then boom, there goes his career up and coming. So, and then as you know, today John Roth will be breaking into his interview.
Yeah.
So thank you to all of you guys telling your stories, jumping in front of these cameras, and letting us just pepper you with questions. We understand it might be uncomfortable, but you all come in and just willing to tell your story. So thank you for that. Because what would this show be? Again, it would be me and Jeff. Right.
That's it.
And that's the vibe
Yeah.
right there. All right. So, and then of course the audience, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. We can't do it without you guys, the shares and all the comments and everything you do to promote this podcast, which, as we always say, in turn promotes the musicians that are on it, and they deserve it. So
It's
thanks.
full circle.
Yeah,
right?
thanks to all you guys for always doing that. And it's growing. It's constantly growing. There's more and more comments and shares and people just spreading the word.
I know we sound like a broken record, but it's true.
We appreciate it.
With Davey's episode, so many people were sharing the hyperlink I posted for his episode coming from the website.
Yeah.
So I looked at the website numbers, and sure enough, this week is a huge spike of visits, and
Yeah.
it all helps. It all works because going back to Ben Cooey and the title sponsor, you'll see him on the website. So you guys are helping bring traffic to the website, which helps our sponsor. And it's just a 360 deal, right? Yeah. Every musician's like, "Oh, don't say that 360 deal," but that's exactly what this is. So, thank you for that, and thank you for anytime we're out and you tap our shoulder and introduce yourself, or just say hello. We love the show, or I really enjoyed this episode. A lot of people were like, "Man, that Cristobaldo interview, like, we really got a lot of feedback on that one." So, it makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we're doing our job, and doing a good job at it. So. Now, with all that said, we're going to do some more gushing and actually now announce our band sponsors.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you kick it off, Jeff?
Yep, our first one is Area 51. You can catch them Saturday, March 30th at Hadley's, Friday, April the 5th at Neal's, and Saturday, April the 6th at Rock House Live, Collierville. Follow Area 51 on Facebook at Area 51 Memphis.
All right, formerly known as Saturday, March 30th at Dan McGinnis, Saturday, April 6th at Neal's Music Room, and one last reminder on their residencies. First Saturday of every month at Neal's, second Saturday at Hadley's, and the last Saturday of each and every month is at Dan McGinnis. Follow Shawn on Facebook at Shawn.Few.7. And I should mention, the reason why we send you to Shawn's page is because he's in 5 bands. So we've also pushed Lost 45 dates, Contraband dates, 6 Feet Thunder dates, but lately it's just been formerly known as. But that's why we send you to Shawn's page. Follow all of his bands, please.
He's a little busy. Seeing Red, you can catch them Saturday, April the 13th at Lafayette's Music Room at 9 p.m., Saturday, April the 27th at the Farms Golf Club in Dyersburg, 6 to 11. Songwriters Showcase, and it's a portion of the proceeds will go to the St. Jude of Dyersburg. For ticket information, you can call Jody King at 731-694-3442, and you can follow Seeing Red at seeingredband.com.
All right, we're wrapping things up with our good friends Fevertree.
Oh, this is going to be good.
A Memphis-based rock band that pulls heavily from its southern roots. They create a powerful and soulful mix of southern rock, blues, funk, nitty-gritty rock and roll, disco, polka, and calypso. I bet you didn't know that. They're a really good calypso band. Only in rehearsals, though. They don't play that shit live. Listen to the singles Muddy Jesus and Buried Alive on Spotify, along with albums Social Mediocrity and Lessons Learned. Now, let's talk about the players. We've been sneaking in like little inside jokes in there as a way to kind of, although, John Peterson's Fevertree is a little on the nose, but let's talk about the players here. So, we got Possum Titty, Tim Dills on vocals, Italian heartthrob, Mike, the Axeman Bertoldo on guitar, global icon and ear cartilage enthusiast, John Peterson on drums. And last but not least, the inventor of rock and roll cabbage candles, bassist, and the face of Fevertree, the one,
goodness.
the only, Rocco Walls, everybody! Yes. So we love these guys. You know, they have a lot of fun with us. We have a lot of fun with them. The fact that we have all these inside jokes, thanks to Rocco. And a special thank you to Rocco. We love all the guys in the band, but Rocco was the one that was like, hey, I just want to support.
Yeah.
We don't have really any show dates, but just make an ad. Just write something. So,
So we did.
yeah, so we've always come up with that little section where we've changed it. Yes, Peterson, that is not a situation where I got his name wrong. Shocker. Finally. That's part of the inside joke, so...
Yeah, if you can't tell,
Well-
those guys don't take themselves very seriously. They're great musicians, but they love to have a good time.
But I will say, the reason why John Peterson is a joke that exists is because I said John Peterson to John Patterson's face in this studio, on this mic, and into this camera. So that is why that exists.
And then
because
you won,
I'm a jackass.
You won the lookalike contest,
That's
too.
right, that's right.
It's important.
Yeah, but his ears kind of put him above. That set us apart a little bit. But we love you guys. We love all the bands. And thank you for all you do for us. So, all right. Let's finally get to the star of the show, Mr.
Well,
John
before
Roth.
we do that, can I just say,
Of
everybody
course.
at the Fulp household, can we get a round of applause for these two guys?
Oh, all right. Thank you.
This has been the coolest idea ever.
Oh, yeah!
And we appreciate you guys so much for doing this.
Thank you.
And for
Thank
bringing
you.
all these people in and getting recognized and everything like that. But thank you. And thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
This is so awesome.
And I'm glad I let you come in today. No, I was kidding.
That was
Thank you.
conditional. You can come in, but you got to really talk good about it.
Well, we do appreciate that.
You got
Thank
my
you.
$20 that I was giving?
Oh, really? You did. You came with the beads.
Yep.
Yep.
We got some candy here and a Easter egg, right? So on St. Patty's Day,
Yep.
which is okay. Is that because Easter's next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Easter's
I just
next.
dawned on me. I'm like St. Patty's Day and Easter egg, but I love chocolate. You got me the best Reese's peanut butter egg.
Awesome.
No substitute for this one here, but thank you, Kenny. I appreciate that. And,
We do appreciate it. And we
yeah.
never, when this first started, I knew what I wanted it to be, but I never dreamed I would learn so much about so many people.
Yeah.
This area is rich with musical history, and it goes way further back than what we've tapped into so far. I mean, we can just keep doing this forever
Yeah.
and go back to the 40s and 50s and talk about these people. But you know, I'm a product of the 80s, and all these guys we've interviewed are people that I didn't think I'd ever even meet.
But that was a huge factor in you being from here and having the connect.
Right.
You knew the right names, the cool names to call that I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So go back to the very beginning. I'm like, Jeff, we're doing this. Here's my idea, and then we
Right.
decided to do it, and then we do an episode on our own, and all of a sudden Jeff's like, I booked some interviews. I got Tim Dills. I'm like, I had no idea who Tim Dills was. Now I know he's Possum Titty, but that's because of Jeff.
Right.
You were able to bring these names in and people that are the fabric of the history. So imagine my place and really learning all this stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
Not knowing the history behind Stage Stop. I just remember it was a place that I'd drive by if I was in Raleigh.
Right.
Oh, okay. It seemed like a weird spot for a bar, but it was the place to go. So I learned all this stuff. So it's been fascinating for me as well. Last week, I think I mentioned how we're nearing episode 60, but last week was episode 60. So then I know today is episode 61. 61 episodes, which makes 58 featured guests, because the first 3 was just you and I,
Right.
which are still the highest rated, by the way. No,
I
just
have
kidding.
no idea
I'm
why.
just kidding. I do know
My
some
raw
analytics.
sexuality.
I could throw
Right.
I kind of know who's been watched or listened to the most, but I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Right.
But Lance Binder, number 1. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and has made this studio a special place for
Yeah,
sure.
it has.
Yeah.
And the connections it's made me, it's landed me. I would not have met the Elevation Memphis camp if not for this, which then now puts me in the Tina Turner show,
Yep.
none of that happens.
Sure.
So me and Jeff have actually absolutely reaped the benefits of this as well, personally, musically, and professionally. Now we built a thing where people are actually spending money to advertise on it. That's so amazing to us. That was always our goal and something we wanted to do.
Yep.
But you never know. But I think this show, grew beyond what we imagined. So.
And now there's up to like 10 people that know I play drums. So it's growing every day. So it's awesome, man. All right, back to John Roth. Let's talk about this
we
guy.
never went to him, really.
Yeah, let's
All
get-
right, John
Thank you
Roth.
again, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you, Kenny.
This is incredible.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Kenny. And the world record holder of most appearances on the show. So congratulations to you, too.
Thank you.
All right.
The check's in the mail.
So we cannot serve this interview justice, really, because he goes into so many areas. But what I do know is, as we talked about, his start with Medieval Steel. He was 17 years old when he got started in his first band. Were you familiar with that band at all, or was that just like a high
the
school?
name? I knew him by name, but I don't.
was, yeah.
Really?
They were an early Queensryche sounding,
Okay.
Sabotage kind of sounding band. A
Cool.
lot of medieval stuff, as obviously in the name.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's not just a clever name.
No. But yeah, Bobby Franklin, very Jeff Tate sounding
Yeah.
singer. Just a fun band. I mean, they were.
Well, then he went into, this is not in any particular order,
No.
but so he was on Jimmy Jameson's first solo record, When Love Comes Down. I don't know if that's the first single. I can't read my own notes, but the song was featured on Baywatch, and I never fixed the typo from our original interview notes.
No, you sure didn't.
It's
Okay,
featured on-
Don't say that. Don't say it.
Don't say it?
Don't say it.
Okay, gay watch. I didn't mean it. It was
Just
a typo.
Just a typo.
Of course, we talk about Fifth Kind.
Yeah, that's
Duh,
a local supergroup.
Yes, and a band I never got to see. When I first moved out here in 2011, heard about them, but never made it out to them. I knew they did like Wednesdays at Dan McGinnis, like once a month.
Yeah.
I don't know what their deal was, but in hindsight, obviously, I wish I would have gone out to catch them.
Well, and you
Never
don't have
did.
it listed here, but I know we had to have touched on Tom, Dick, and Harry, which
Yes,
was the
we
band
did.
before Fifth Kind
Yep.
that John Roth, Corey Myers, Ted Parton, and Scotty Trammell were all in. And that was when I decided to get back out and go see live music. That was the first band I caught. And, of course, you go see those guys and you're hooked and you're like, oh, yeah, I want to play drums again and I want to be a rock star. And so here I am doing absolutely none of that. But
Did you talk about the Lost Boys?
The who?
Lost Boys?
I don't
I don't
remember.
recall. We'll know soon.
Everyone in Donna's kitchen will know soon.
Yep.
And then, of course, the story behind joining Winger
Yep.
and all the years he's been with them, the story behind jumping on with Starship and the work they've been doing.
Yep.
And shocker, Black Oak, Arkansas comes up again.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how many times that band has come up in this room with all the different players, and along with Jimmy Jameson, too. Like, so many players have played through these bands and stuff.
Yeah, if Jim Dandy is for any reason watching this nonsense of a show, we'd love to interview you.
Yeah, you look like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the stories we hear, complements that.
Yeah.
That'll be a 2 or 3 parter at least.
Yeah.
And then Giant. Were you guys
Yeah.
familiar with Giant?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind
Great.
of band was Giant? Refresh my memory.
Well, they were an late 80s rock band. Dan Huff was in that band, and he has gone on to be, his name's on tons and tons and tons of albums as a producer and a session player. And they had a big hit, See You in My Dreams. That was their big radio hit.
Mm-hmm.
Just an amazing band. And John went on to play with them and do some recording with them. And it's just good stuff.
Awesome.
That
Well,
last album was all John.
Yeah.
really?
That was,
Yeah.
I mean, because, he plays with Winger. He plays Reb's stuff. Starship, he plays their stuff.
Right.
But this last album, that was John Roth.
Yeah.
All of it.
It was his moment to really
Yeah.
just shine as
And
an
another
original
thing
artist.
that we don't have listed here was the Roth Brock project, which was
Right.
John and Terry Terry Brock, who was from Giant. They went on to do
Oh, we're talking about
work.
Corey Myers
Yeah.
and their duo stuff and how they've been friends all these years. So Corey comes up as well. I hope John is at Donna's right now. We don't know.
Yeah.
But John, thank you if you are. We appreciated your time coming in here. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was my first time meeting him. So that was a delight, and we're happy to end this season with someone like him. But again, thanks to all the artists,
Absolutely.
and musicians, and everybody that was part of this season and all the seasons prior. Again, like I said, this is going to be featured artist number 58.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So, and it goes all to everyone we thanked earlier. HempvilleCBD.com, TRS20 for 20% off at checkout. Free shipping on orders $50 and up. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at therhythmsectionpod.com. And where can people find our YouTube channel, Jeff?
What? I honestly can't remember the name of the channel. It's Derek Michaud?
Michaud. Derek Michaud.
You'll have to say
It's Derek McCod.
Machad.
What I usually do is I direct people to the website, look in the right-hand corner, find that YouTube icon, click it, subscribe to the Derek McCod channel, and we would love that. That's really, the channel's monetized. So that's another powerful way for you to engage with our show. They can bring in pennies and pennies and pennies, which really helps buy our coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's almost as good as being on Spotify with your music.
Right.
Yeah,
almost as good.
almost as good.
And as always, we're going to wrap this season up with this final message. Go out and support live local music.
Yep.
Cover band, original artists, whatever it may be, go. Patronize the venues, patronize these bands, throw in some money in that tip jar, and trust me, this community will just continue to grow and prosper with that support. So please, get out there.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to see a Tom, Dick, and Harry reunion and an Area 51, not Area 51, a
Fifth Kind
reunion.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so let's make that happen
Well,
if you're listening.
My personal request to my buddy Lance Binder, I want Akasha
Yeah,
live in Memphis.
definitely.
I want to
And-
see them.
Play rough.
Yeah.
Oh,
do
to
it
Raleigh
again.
and Phil Friday night.
Oh yeah!
Please
Oh yeah!
play rough.
Oh yeah!
sorry.
Jimmy
I was
Fault.
trying to get him faster.
Make it
but-
happen.
Yes. All right, everyone. Enough of this. Thank you for a great season. We'll be coming back with some announcements very soon on how this next season's going to show up and roll out. But until then, please enjoy this interview with Mr. John Roth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. John Roth with us today.
What's going on?
Yes.
Oh, fake applause. I love
Yes, you've heard a few applauses in your day.
that. Yeah, I'll take that with me on the road for when there's crickets after a song.
Oh,
you know?
I bet that doesn't happen.
So, of course, Winger, Starship, and then we're going to dig into all kinds of different
Giant.
things. Yeah,
Cool.
Giant.
Oh, my goodness.
Cool deal.
But I have to thank Jeff for being relentless. It took us, about 14 months to get John in here?
So, yeah, because you were one of the very first names
well,
that
it's,
came up.
it's hard to hit a moving target.
It is.
I'm a firm believer in
Yeah.
kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Got to
Yeah.
keep things moving until my personality starts improving.
You got a few things going on. We
that's
understand.
a stolen lyric from a David Lee Roth song I like to use.
There you go.
But man, so excited to have you here, and I'm meeting you for the first time. So it's
Nice to meet you, man.
It's so cool. Yeah,
I applaud what you guys are doing. It's so cool that y'all have a podcast dedicated to
Yeah.
Memphis music, which is a town and a whole area that's got so much
Oh,
rich musical history. You could dive deep for 10 more years and not,
Me and Jeff say it all the time. What we've learned since starting this podcast, and
Sure.
Jeff grew up here, so it's a little more fascinating for me, but still, even for Jeff to really see how deep it goes. And this podcast grew more than I ever could have imagined.
That's awesome.
But it's because of the stories. It's because of the guests.
Yes.
straight
Absolutely.
up, and the city and the history here.
So much vibe came from around here. You're right. There's still a lot going on, man.
But yeah, you are the third member of Fifth Kind for us to interview.
Oh, cool. Right on.
We still need to get Kerry Badur.
Oh.
And of course, we got Pete before he passed, unfortunately.
Oh, God. What a prince. I love Pete, man.
Yeah, and we can
Great
talk
drummer.
about him
Great
too.
drummer.
We'd love to hear you.
Sure.
Your thoughts on Pete, because of
absolutely.
course Fifth Kind's going to come up, and we had your friend Corey Myers in.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Adams is the only one left. Jeff, Get your ass in the
So-
studio.
Well, man, y'all got to get Jeffro on here,
Yeah, we
man.
will.
No doubt
So
about
he
it.
looked me
He's got
straight
good
in the
stories.
eye at Windy City Grill. Said, "I'll do it." 5 texts later, Jeff, where are you?
We'll get him in here, man. We'll have to talk to his publicist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, well,
His management.
yeah, exactly.
So
We'll book him.
So, did you grow up here?
In the area, you know, I actually was born in Illinois, but I grew up in a little town called Manila, Arkansas, about probably an hour and 15 minutes from Memphis. But I'm from the area. Yeah.
Cool. So you grew up here in the music scene, and
Yeah. Well, yeah. I had I came here a lot, and when I was growing up, my aunt lived here, so you know it was an hour and 15 minutes. My grandmother was from here, so I've had family around here for a long time and growing up in this scene. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. You know, and it's a good scene to be in, as we have already discussed.
Yeah, and it was lucky for me because being in a small town where I grew up, there weren't a whole lot of musicians and players. So as soon as I was able to get out of there and start playing, you know, get gigs locally and start playing in bands, I was kind of missing from the Arkansas scene.
yeah.
So, growing up, how did you start playing? What's the story behind your musicianship?
Well, my cousins all played music, you know, and so I watched them play, and I remember one of them gave me a harmonica for Christmas. And, you know, anyone can like make a musical sound out of a harmonica, but my cousin Chuck was like, man, John seems to be really picking up on that. Maybe you think about getting him a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all that had to happen. You know, my mom bought me a guitar. And so those guys being players, my cousin Wade Robertson was a mentor to me and really got me started playing guitar. So, you know, my guitar lessons were at holidays. You know, I'd see Wade at like Christmas and 4th of July and Thanksgiving. So I had 3 months to practice the same things over and over between my guitar lessons. And finally, my ear got good enough to where I could pick out things on my own and play. And then I took off. But my family's pretty musical.
And how young were you?
When I started playing, probably at 10.
Yeah.
I figured you were the person behind that photo of the kid in the womb with the guitar.
Right. No, I
that
didn't
was
start
you.
quite that early. But if there'd been a guitar around, I probably would have picked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were 10 years behind. You know, that's
Exactly.
okay.
I
Late bloomer.
was. Big time.
So, what were some of your first projects that you were a part of? Like early on, did you play in any high school bands?
Oh, yeah. So I remember the first gig I played at a band called Freeway, and we didn't even have a lead singer. We were playing what they were calling, it was a talent show. It's called The Gong Show. I don't know if you guys remember The Gong,
I remember
the
The
Gong
Gong
Show.
Show.
The Gong Show from the 70s, right? So they had The Gong Show going on, and so we played it without, like I said, we didn't have a singer. We were all like, 11, 12 years old. Good Friends and a Bottle of Wine, Ted Nugent off of Weekend Warriors. First song I played live ever. Yeah.
Nice.
Did you get the gong?
No, we didn't get the gong. We
Okay,
actually
good.
won like second or third
Because I was going to
place.
say, this is a perfect time to call that person out.
Right.
If they gonged you, you could just say, hey, man.
We weren't good enough to win the whole thing, but we got in there like the second or third place or something
Cool.
like that. But it was mainly the experience, you know.
Yeah.
And the second song I think I played live was "It Could Be You" by Def Leppard off their very first record.
Nice.
So started playing in little bands like that, and then with my focus is original music. So I had a band called Warning that was pretty much all original music, unless we had to play a dance and learn a bunch of covers, and we do a couple sets of covers. So I started doing that, and then from there, I got the attention of a band called Medieval Steel, which is a local Memphis band.
Remember those guys.
Yeah.
Jack Holder was another mentor of mine. Love Jack. What an amazing guitar player, musician, producer, just great spirit. Jack had seen me, he'd walked in on a session I was doing at Sounds Unreal. So John Horniak had Sounds Unreal recording studio. It was over out behind a McDonald's on Union Avenue, and my band Warning was there cutting our demo. And Jack had walked in and heard me play. I guess he liked what he heard, and he'd passed my name along to Chuck Jones, guitarist and one of the founding members of the band called Medieval Steel. So that's how I got hooked up with them. Jack ended up producing our record, and that was actually probably the first proper album I played on. It was just a 4-song EP. You know, it was just really kind of a basic project to get the band going. And so, yeah,
So
one thing led to another.
your Wikipedia page, I don't know if you knew you had one.
I do.
It brings up Medieval Steel, and it says you were 17?
Yeah, that's
Is that
about right.
right?
16 or 17.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's pretty close.
Now, Jeff Adams played in Medieval Steel. Is that? correct?
We morphed into a band called Fire Choir.
I remember.
Wimpiest name in rock, I might say.
Fire Choir.
I like it.
Choir.
I like it.
Okay, well, that's one of us. But anyway, so Medieval Steel was. We were being watched by Crazed Management. Actually, signed a management deal with Crazed Management. Johnny Zazula, and Tony and Sajiri. Megaforce Records was their record label, but they had signed us to a management deal, and we're interested. Wanted to do records on Medieval Steel, but we were like, hey, we got another thing. We're kind of morphing into something a little different. This is a little bit more. Still real hard edge, heavy rock, but more vocal oriented.
Right.
And so that's when Jeff came in, on board with us.
Okay.
We were changing from Medieval Steel into Fire Choir at the time. So Jeff was involved in that project, but it was as we were turning into this another band.
Okay.
So you've been working with Jeff for
long time,
several
man.
years.
Oh yeah, so Fire Choir waited on me to graduate high school, so we could go to New York and start, auditioning for record labels and doing showcases and that kind of thing.
Well, who were some of your main influences as you were growing up playing?
As far as the usual suspects, ZZ Top, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, all that kind of stuff.
It was a silly question.
Well,
but.
no. I mean, it's not really.
Well,
Because
as far as a specific player, do you have any?
Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top was the first guy that really grabbed me. And he had so much soul and feel, and I like that aggressive bluesy grinding sound that he got out of the guitar. Of course, that led on to Hendrix, and of course Eddie Van Halen, Richie Blackmore, another big influence. But Billy was the first guy that really grabbed me, man, and still one of those guys that I still listen to all of his old records and the new stuff too.
Yeah. ZZ Top's so cool. They're just cool. I mean, iconic
great
band.
Yeah,
right?
great band, and it's real stripped down. It's 3-piece rock and roll, man.
That's it.
No frills.
Yeah, rhythm and blues kind of vibe to it too.
It is, but it had a psychedelic element too that a lot of people they might realize it might pass by while they're listening to it, but early on it had some of that because Billy and toured with Hendrix at the Moving Sidewalks. He opened up for Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he's got a pink Strat that Jimi Hendrix gave him that I was able to touch one day. So they had a little bit of a psychedelic experimental element to their music, so it wasn't just blues.
So you were able to meet Billy?
I've met Billy, yeah.
Nice.
He was super nice guy. Very.
Yeah. Feel free to bring him in here anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he listens.
I
sure.
I met him at a really over a friend's house, so it was cool just to be able to meet him, not be backstage, and that kind of a thing.
Was he wearing his sunglasses the whole time?
He was probably wearing sunglasses. It was back when they were filming videos for Eliminator, and he was telling me about a trip that he had.
So they're blowing up.
Yeah,
their second phase was really launching.
Their second phase,
yeah. And that's what I grew up with. That's
really.
Oh yeah, I mean, Afterburner and Eliminator. Those were my Those were my cassettes from Columbia House.
Right on, boy. Yeah. You're dating yourself, man.
I did the same thing. Cool. I loved Afterburner. I know a lot of people think it's overproduced or whatever, but I thought it. For me, I liked it more than the prior.
But they brought in some electric drums and some loops and stuff. I know the purists were like, what's going on here?
Man, but it was genius the way they did it. I understand. I mean, the first 6 records are part of the rock and roll Bible to me. But, with those records, I mean, they had a Fairlight for the drums. Yes, these drum machines, synth bass. They just kind of rolled with the times, man. And they really, like you said, they went into full-blown afterburner gear with that, man. Because
and they were a commodity, too. I don't want to use the word gimmick, but I am, because
they looked cool on MTV. They were different.
Great. The beards, the twisting, the spinning guitars, and everything.
All that stuff, man.
Yeah.
And that was important at that time.
It wasn't. It was kind of
worked.
And it was different from all the other 80s stuff where the big hair, or whether it was, new wave music where
they had big hair, it was just misplaced.
Yeah, right. It was just growing vertically. But yeah, I mean, the way they morphed into the second stage of their career was phenomenal. It's more, even though it might not be the music that I grew up on and that drew me into the first place. I loved it, respecting it. It's cool stuff.
I loved them too. So, want to talk Winger?
Sure,
because-
yeah, absolutely.
You happen to mention 80s. So
Yeah, 80s rock and roll,
We
yeah.
might as well tilt over to Winger.
And Wikipedia says 90. 1990?
Yeah. Okay, so when I started with the band, 93. Oh, I first tour was 93. I auditioned, I think, in 92, but it's 93.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that come to be?
The Pull Tour. Well, I was some great friends of mine, Roxy Blue, Memphis band.
Hey, all right.
They had a record deal and a management deal, and Doug Thaler was their manager.
Okay.
And Doug managed Motley Crue. At the time, he was managing Motley Crue and Roxy Blue, and he took on Winger, and they were looking for a guitar player. And so my relationship with Roxy Blue, I knew Doug, who was managing Motley and Roxy Blue, and my name got thrown in the mix. And I went out to LA and auditioned for the band and got the gig.
Here you are still, all these years later.
We're all growing old together. It's crazy. I was 26 when I started playing with Winger.
Wow.
So sorry
And
if
I'm
I'm
85 now. So it's just
I
really.
mean, you look great.
Thank you. Well,
And that's without filters on the camera.
well, why do you put the filter on? I'm like a 4-year-old.
I'll put butterflies around your head.
Oh, great! Please, more of that.
Now I have to edit in some butterflies. But,
Yeah, right.
But,
Sure.
And again, sorry if I'm wrong, but everyone else in Winger are founding, right? From the very beginning?
Yeah, so Winger's one of those few bands that have all the original members, in the band. And so I'm technically not an original member because I started in 93.
Mm-hmm.
I came in, Paul Taylor had left the band in 93. I came in for that tour on the Pull Tour. Later on, I guess it's 2002, we took a long break and we started playing with doing the Poison Tour and doing certain records where we were playing the entire record in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul came on board with that, and he's just kind of been back in the band ever since. He's such a great guy, and you could,
I see.
he's got so many great stories. He's played with Steve Perry and Cinderella, and he's a great. He wrote Winger's #1 hit. Paul did. So Winger is really. It's been a 5-piece band for probably solid for the last at least 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Winger has a lot of hits. What is their #1 hit?
Well, Winger technically didn't have a #1 hit, but
Okay.
but highest charting hit was a song that Paul wrote, "Miles Away."
I love it.
Right,
Spectacular song.
great song.
Yeah.
Great song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 93, this may be a silly question, but you were obviously at the time that you go in and you audition for this band, you're a seasoned player at that point. Any nerves going in to audition for a band like that?
Well, those guys made me feel so comfortable, and the only thing that was crazy about the audition was Mike Shipley was recording it, and he produced the record Pull, and he's a legendary producer, and he produced a Starship record, and he was the engineer on Back in Black and all those iconic Mutt Lange produced records because he was Mutt Lange's engineer for so long. So we're rehearsing and stuff, and Kip's like, "Do you mind if I record?" I'm like, "No." And Mike Shipley walks in, he's recording my rehearsal, my audition. I'm
Just
like,
a
"Great."
little more pressure.
No pressure here,
Right.
So that was kind of made me feel a little under the gun. But those guys are so cool, and laid back. So
What was the process? Did they give you a list of songs? Just 1, 5?
No.
What did it look like?
All the hits, and then we were every song. I think I played through probably every song on the record. Kip gave me the demos for the Pull album, and I went through and learned, at least half a dozen. I learned the whole album, but I think we probably played at least 6 or 7 of the songs on the new record, and a lot of singing. It's very vocal intensive,
Sure.
so a lot of that going on. A lot of vocals, and we ran. Well, it was 2 days we sit, and they even showed me songs that I learned songs that I hadn't heard yet, or one song in particular. We sit down and learned, and so it was pretty thorough. And then a couple months later, I think they had other people to audition and everything. I got the word that I got the gig, and
So you had to wait a few months before getting an answer?
So it was a couple of months. They had a couple of the guys lined out. Months later that they had decided to audition, but Kip said he'd come close to making up his mind. But they,
I would have gone nuts waiting.
Yeah.
Throughout that period. What was that like for you? Were you on pins and needles?
I had a great gig. I was a survivor. Well, I was with Jimmy Jameson's version.
And I
of
realized in my
Survivor.
notes we leapfrogged that. So we'll get back to that in reverse.
I was blessed. I've always worked steadily, and I had a good gig with Jimmy. And
you were
a great gig. Because Jimmy Jameson, what a phenomenal guy and amazing singer, and his band was great. So I was
so many guys have come in here that have that tie back to him that played with him.
Oh yeah.
So 1989, I have that you were on his first solo record, When Love Comes Down. And you're on the single Rock Hard that's on Baywatch.
Yes, I co-wrote that song.
I just realized I spelled Baywatch wrong.
Baywatch, yeah.
It says Gay Watch.
Yeah.
David Hasselhoff approves.
That's funny. Yeah, Jimmy sang the theme song to Baywatch.
Yeah.
That's Jimmy's voice.
I knew that.
Yeah. So you're on that. Or not the theme, but you're on a song that was featured in there.
Yes, Rock Hard. Scott Trammell and I co-wrote that song with Jimmy. That was the first single off of his record. Scott Trammell from Roxy Blue, who I had mentioned earlier.
So I don't want to jumble much. I want to get back to Jimmy Jameson, but while we're on Winger still, what was it like when you got the call?
I think I was on the road with Jimmy, and it wasn't on a cell phone because cell phones weren't around then. I was super excited. I was super excited to get the band to get the call for the band because I was always a fan. I was a fan. I can remember when I first saw Winger on Headbangers Ball, and immediately saw there's a left-hand drummer like. Is that Rod Morgenstein? I'm like, good God, that's Rod Morgenstein from the Dixie Dregs, and he's playing with a metal band. I'm like a verse into the song without the chorus hitting yet, and I'm already digging the song, and I see Rod's in me. I'm like, holy shit, there's more to this band than meets the eye with the first verse and the chorus, and so I was excited. All great players, singers.
For guys like me, when Mr. Big hit big. As far as I'm concerned, they just arrived.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she's only 17, right? That's all that came to me.
Right.
But then you dig into the albums, like, oh, yeah. These are different bands.
Wingers, I don't say a weird band, but it's a very different band because it's got a lot of progressive elements in it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a pop, right? It's kind of pop. It's kind of metal. It's kind of progressive. Hard to categorize the band.
You can still be good for the musicians. It's like you got the likability for the just
average listener.
Average listener. Sure. Thank you. But then the musician can be like, wow, that's really cool.
It's catchy. There's a lot of hooks, a lot of great
time signature changes, stuff like that.
That kind of stuff is thrown in there. It makes the music more interesting. Rod Morgenstein really made that band to me stand out and give it a little bit different of a twist and a spin than you're normally hearing, out of most 80s rock and roll bands. Rock and roll bands from that genre. We're talking late 80s, though. This is 88, 89, But, it's cool. Just a different, Rod gave it a different feel, and I was really excited when I first saw Winger. I'm like, there's something really deep in this band. Just visually watching and seeing Rod, and then, of course, hearing the music and digging deeper into the records.
And then now you're in it. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So, what kind of schedule did they have when you joined up? Were they cruising the world?
Well, we were supporting the Pull record. So it was get on a tour bus and gone for 5 months, that kind of a thing. Come home, and then we went to Japan after that. Didn't do a world tour. We didn't go to Europe for that record. I don't remember doing, but I remember coming back from that, and I'd been out on the road on a bus for months at a time before. Probably about 3 months is the most, but five is a good long time because you come home and there's like buildings and stuff that weren't there before, and you're like, oh, you've got a child now. Man. Hey, how you doing? And you're like, you cut your hair, but things are just different. So 5 months on the road, it was a tour. We were on a bus. Now we do all fly dates. Well,
look,
basically,
my longest run is 3 months, but that was casino runs, not a bus, but still gone.
Hey, you're still gone, man. Yeah,
and I remember coming back home and my friends had new friends. Like there were new people in the circle. I didn't get any inside joke. I felt so detached.
Disconnected.
And then I wanted to share my experience with everybody. They didn't give a shit. I had no one. And they're just like, "Hey, Derek, welcome back. Where you been?"
Right.
I'm like, "Man,
Where did you go?
Sure. Yeah,
So I had to,
traveling the
I had
country.
to re-infiltrate my friend group. It was weird.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Culture shock-ish, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, back then, we weren't constantly connected with cell phones and social media and email and all that stuff like that. We had to use pay phones and, the phones in the venue or whatever. So, like you say, you're not as connected and you don't visually, see a picture every day of, someone's new house or what their life's like. So, yeah.
So after you joined the band, then now you records thereafter, you're all of them, correct?
Winger 4. Yeah, we did live Winger 4, live DVD, then Karma, Better Days Coming, and Winger 7. Yeah, I've been a part of all those albums. So I've actually been a part of more Winger records than I wasn't.
Now you're part of that writing craziness with them.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was it like when you first, we got a new record, fellas, and now you're there with them helping with riffs and stuff?
The first time I wrote with Kip was on Karma. It's a song called After All This Time. And he just called me and said, "Hey, man, send me some Since I've Been Loving You chords," talking about, the Led Zeppelin vibe. So I came up with chord changes and some the basic music for that song, and then and sent it to him. And at the time, we're doing stuff. He's in Nashville, I'm here. We're sending things back and forth to the internet. So we pretty much wrote that song, just sending things back and forth. He wrote the lyrics and the melodies, and then I think he hit me back up, and I helped him tweak a couple of melodies or something like that. But that's how that song.
And he's pretty open. Is he fun to write with?
He's fun to write with. He's super creative. Yeah, I mean, I can remember the next record. It was Better Days Coming. As we're working on the album, there's no demo. You're writing the song and the arrangement as it is and playing final guitar parts. Most people demo their songs and then they'll go back and recut them. Problem with that is sometimes you can't recreate the vibe that was on the demo. So Kip's like, we don't have time for that, and we want to get the vibe from the start. So it's really pretty remarkable how he would make really hard decisions about arrangements and songs and chord changes like that, because he heard the melodies, even though the lyrics weren't written at the time. He's envisioning the melodies, and he's just got that intuition where he'll make a decision about a song, an arrangement right off the bat. We'll cut it. So we're cutting final guitar parts as we're writing the song. Yeah,
because you hear it all the time. Like, it doesn't sound like the demo. You fall in love with the demo, right? Because you listen to it incessantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's vibe you can't create. I mean, the vocal pass, whatever, just wasn't the same as you can get in there and sing it, 10 times and edit it from 15 different comps, and you just can't get that original feel. I think that More Than Words by Extreme, I think they ended up, that's the demo, I believe.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Because that's the story I heard anyway. I could be wrong, but so,
that was a small hit.
Yeah, just a little.
Exactly.
Feel free to use your connections and get Nuno. Come in here.
Right. Too bad he's not a Memphis musician. We get him in here, right? You got to get Memphis cats in here, man.
Poor John, we bring him in here. We're just trying to get connections.
Exactly. No. I see how this is going.
The latest Winger album that you guys put out, to me, it's fun, way
7.
more progressive.
Winger 7.
So talk about time signatures and changes and progressive, and
there's some muso stuff going on.
Amazing stuff. And to me, it shows Rod Morgenstein to be an absolute master at his craft.
He played some of his best stuff on this album.
I believe that.
No doubt about it.
Incredible.
No doubt about it.
And I shout out to you, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet that guy.
Oh, what a great guy.
Never would have happened if not for you.
Rod's a prince. He's a sweetheart, man. And what an amazing player.
Yep.
How much did Jeff beg you for that meeting?
It was a lot. Begged a lot.
I'm a pushover. What can I say? I'm a sucker for a good time.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a good time,
awesome.
man.
So where does Winger stand now? You're gone constantly. So.
Still playing, still kind of really still supporting Winger 7.
Yeah.
That album came out May 5th last year. Cinco de Mayo, my birthday, by the way. So yeah, we're still supporting the record, doing dates. Last year we did the UK with Steel Panther. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet that was
How long was that run?
That was a couple of just 2 weeks. It was it was 2 weeks. It was fun. Those guys, they're great guys, super cool guys, and talented, man. Play and sing their butts off. You know, Ralph Mike came out and sang "Headed for Heartbreak" with us every night. He's a fan of the band, and every night he would come out and sing the second verse.
Nice,
so cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
and they're coming here soon to Minglewood, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's a great show.
I believe they do.
It's a great show because they play so well and sing great, and you know there's a comedy element in there, of course.
Sure.
Telling you, so it's.
But they back it up with your musicianship.
They do. They do.
They're not hacks and wigs or anything.
Absolutely, great players, great guys, fun band. Yeah.
Do you guys do the multi-month run still, or is it more?
No,
spaced out?
It's way more spaced out. Yeah. It's normally it's fly dates. Yeah, in and out. You know, two or three in a row on the weekends and stuff. There are times when we'll go out for a week or two at a time. But normally it's a weekend, not weekend warrior, but I say fly dates. That's the way I put it.
Yeah, weekend warrior term doesn't usually come with fly dates,
right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's
you've seen a few airports, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That must get old. Is that?
That's the grind.
That's the grind.
Yeah, we get paid to travel.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's what I tell everybody. We get paid to travel.
All of that for a 90-minute concert.
Air travel is. I mean, you know, if you're flying on a private jet, it's got to be better. But I've only done that once. But
Kip won't let you on.
Yeah, right. You're banned. No, no matter what, man. No matter if you're on a bus, you're on a plane, whatever. It's travel. It's travel. You're away from home. You're playing music for an hour and 45 minutes, 90 minutes at the most. So you're getting paid to travel. You know, that's what it is. And a lot of people think that sounds cool and glamorous, and it's fun and it's interesting, but you do it for 30 or 40 years and it starts to grind a little bit.
All those security checks.
All that stuff.
God.
All that stuff.
Well, recently I saw your wife and Corey Meyer's wife. They were posting photos on Facebook of your show down, I believe it was South Florida.
Key West.
So, and we had like 6 inches of snow here. So I'm not going to feel sorry for you, John.
Yeah.
You were down there drinking and having a good time at the pool.
Yeah, we had a good. We were freezing.
You missed a doozy.
Well, hey man, I busted my butt to get there. You know, our flight was canceled. Getting there, Mary Myers was with Claire and I took her down to do the show with me, and so much weather, and even though. Weather. You may have weather in one part of the country. Well, it's all it impacts flights all over the place. So anyway, I made it to the show. Flight got canceled. Spent the night in Atlanta. Made it to the show day without my stage clothes. Blah 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 blah. I made a post about it. If anyone's interested, they can look at it. but didn't have my gear or played the show in my stage clothes. It's nothing I haven't done before.
I hear you.
It's just stuff happens, man.
So let's
go back to Jimmy.
Let's go backwards now.
Yeah, because we could talk about Winger for at least 6 hours.
Yeah, but I like keeping a timeline, and my bad for skipping the gay watch.
No, that's cool, man.
But so we
can jump all around.
How do you get on Jimmy's radar? How does that happen for you?
So I had mutual friend Ronnie Avery of God bless him, God rest his soul, great guy, passed away a few years back. He was a great friend of mine, a great friend of Jimmy's. Jimmy had just quit Survivor, was getting ready to do a solo record, and it was introduced to Jimmy. We hit it off right off the bat. Great guy. He wanted to write something. Jimmy could have moved on with and put together a band of people from all over the country or from Chicago or wherever. Survivor was centered out of Chicago, but Jimmy wanted to do a record with local guys, have local musicians in his band, and write with them too. So that was cool. That's how I got the opportunity to co-write.
Was Pete in the band yet?
No, Pete was not in the band. Scott Trammell was a drummer in the band.
Okay. I didn't know Scotty did a stint with Jimmy.
He did. He was the drummer. It was Scott Trammell was playing drums in the band. Dave Cochran was on bass. Okay. Tony Thomas on keys. Hal McCormick on guitar. We had a great band. It was a great band.
None of those guys are slouches.
Was there a big audition process for him, or was he just like, "Hey, man, want to come along?"
It was laid back. You want to come over and jam. And I think the first time I got together with Jimmy and jam, we didn't have a bass player in the room. He hadn't even solidified who was going to play bass in the band. So we got together and jammed some Target songs and Survivor songs, and I had the demos from some of the songs on his first record, When Love Comes Down, and we played some of those, and it was super. He's super laid back and cool, and so
I know people have heard me say this story before, but Pete Mandillo told us a great story where he was nervous for his audition, and Jimmy came in and sang the song like Popeye.
Yeah.
Just to lighten the mood. So and you have the same feedback about Jimmy. He was just a fun guy.
That sounds like Jimmy. Great guy. Yeah. Great guy. Always joking around, real loose, just easy man, easy to work with. Yeah. No ego, not super demanding, he wanted everybody to show up on time and do their part and everything, but he was he was a beautiful soul, man.
Were you guys busy on the road with that?
Starting to get pretty busy on the road, yeah. So when that album came, back then, you make a record. That record took 2 years to make because it went through a couple different stages with different producers and stuff. So by the time we started really starting to roll, I got the call from Winger.
Oh, so that's where the transition happened.
Yeah, because I'd probably been in Jimmy's band since '89, and I think the record may have come out in '91.
And then you auditioned in '92.
In '92, yeah. So but have a lot of great memories of playing on stage with Jimmy, hearing that voice. I mean, when he opened his mouth, it was magic. Man.
That's what P said. When he heard that voice coming from the drum wedge, he was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, he just had a very undeniably easily identifiable tone. It's a very masculine sounding, but he could sing very subtly. He could deliver a ballad in a way unlike many other singers could do. It was a very dynamic singer because he's very rock.
And then he could get powerful.
He sound angry and mean, and he had a real rough side to his voice, but real clean and pretty at times. Very dynamic singer.
So it sounds like as me and Jeff get to know more people, of course, Jimmy comes up constantly, and Survivor and Target. So many people have played with him, and it almost can seem like a revolving door. But did he have pride in like someone like yourself or anyone that went and got another gig where it's just like, man, go get it, man. Go for you.
He was totally cool.
Yeah.
He was so cool. I mean, Jimmy, I can remember he gave me hell about joining Winger, but in a very big brother, playful way. So I can remember being on a road trip with Jimmy, and he sang to me to the tune of the Brady Bunch about how I was screwing him over and joining Winger.
Was he singing like Popeye?
He'd say, no, he wasn't singing. Our manager was Doug Thaler. He said, don't you know Doug Thaler rhymes with failure? And Winger isn't going anywhere. Singing shit like that.
That's sorry,
great. Just a great sense of humor.
Great sense of he was like, John, go do it. It's a great opportunity for you.
Yeah,
great. But he couldn't help but give me hell about it.
Sure. Sure. Well, he's losing one hell of a guitar player, so he's got to give you some grief.
Man, it just comes with the territory, I guess. But he was super cool. I did shows with Jimmy after that too. After my stint with Winger, came back and played a few shows, mainly Memphis gigs. But wow, it was a great time with Jimmy.
So also I see you played with Black Oak, Arkansas back in the day. Is that correct?
That's my rock school.
And that's another band that comes up constantly. That just so many different people have played with him, and another revolving door, it seems.
A lot of great musicians, man. Jim always wanted hot dog players.
Dave Flexer's
our friend Rocco Walls.
Yeah.
Guys have all
so many guys starting, with the original band with Tommy Aldridge. He always wanted players that were could play over the top.
Sure.
Sean Lane.
Tommy Aldridge.
Jack Holder, freaking Greg Redding. The list goes on.
All these names are recurring on this podcast.
And this was pre-Jimmy, right?
Yeah, that was my first tour coming out of school. I was 19 when I joined Black Oak. And so it was my rock school, man. I mean, it was how I got on the road. And first time I went out for months at a time, learning how to play big shows.
And learning how to travel
in front of learning how to play big shows in front of lots of people on no sleep. You know what I mean? Just like totally trashed. Yeah,
I mean, you're 19. You're just full of piss and vinegar, aren't you?
Yeah, you got all the energy and stuff, but you have to be able to know how to travel on the road and pace yourself and all that stuff. So I learned how
to deal with personalities. Right?
Yeah, you're dealing with rock stars' egos and idiosyncrasies and all that stuff. It's all part of the gig, So. Anyway, so that, but I really learned how to play the blues. I played different styles of music. I learned how to play a country song. Just Black Oak's music had a lot of different styles and elements to it. Rick Reynolds was a mentor of mine, the main rhythm guitarist, the founding member of Black Oak, Arkansas, who wrote all the hits and the songs with Jim. Learned a lot from Ricky. How to arrange guitar parts and lay back in the pocket and just all kinds of cool stuff. I learned so much from being in that band.
Yeah, that trickled into all your other gigs.
Totally took me to another level.
How did you land that gig? How did that happen?
I was playing with my band Fire Choir that we mentioned earlier with Jeff Adams. We were playing in the Strawberry Jam, I think, in Bald Knob, Arkansas. And Black Oak was headlining it, I think. Rare Earth was on the gig, another band I love.
They're great.
And, I met Jim after the gig, and he said, man, I watched you play tonight. We'll let you know if you ever want to play in my band, you've got it. So so at some point we hooked up and I ended up joining the band.
Nice. How long were you in that band for?
Let's see. So I was in that band a couple of times. So I joined like in 86 so probably from early 86 to 86, probably about, I think it's 18 months, year and a half the first time. And then when I was working with Jimmy, recording his album and just getting things started, they called me back and needed a guitar player to sub. And I started back with the band probably around 1990. And I at one point I was playing with Jimmy and Black Oak at the same time. I always kind of.
Well, you're no stranger of being in two acts.
I've always done that kind of thing. Yeah, I've never had the luxury of saying, "Hey, I'm the guitarist for this band only." So because I'm always trying to work and keep the lights turned on at the house. So
of course I say that because now we can talk Starship.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And me and Jeff went to see Winger and Tom Kiefer at the Ryman last year, and. You weren't there, so I'm guessing you were out with Starship.
I was out with Mickey, playing a gig with Starship. Yep. Yep.
So the Wikipedia says 2012. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's it. That's
cool.
it. That's right. That's right on the money. Yeah.
So seems like you had a good chunk of time now. You're just cruising with Winger. Things are just moving along. That's your gig. Right. And then how does Starship with Mickey Thomas fall in?
It's actually a very bittersweet and sort of tragic story. Mark Abrahamian, their guitar player that had been in the band probably 15 years, had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And he passed away. And so I was playing with Fifth Kind at the time. Jeff, I immediately heard about it, and I just reached out to Jeff with my condolences.
Jeff Adams was already in the band.
Sorry, Jeff Adams.
And he was already in the band at that point.
Jess played in Starship for 20 some odd years.
Okay.
He'd been in the band a very long time. And I was feeling for their band. I can't imagine what it's like to lose someone your brother who's been on stage with you for so long. And so I was talking to Jeff about it, and he said, well, we're going to have to start back contractually obligated to gigs and everything before too long. Can you come in and subs a couple of gigs, So Winger had just stopped on a run. We were on a break. And so I said, of course, yes, I'll do it. And it was probably one of the hardest gigs I've ever done, just on a personal level, because, I just remember showing up at the airport and going, look, guys, I'm sorry I'm here. I said, whatever I can do to make this, easier, if it could it all be easier for you guys. I just want to be supportive and help you guys get through the gigs.
Great attitude. So how were they in that moment?
You could tell they were hurting. They were hurting because it'd only been probably a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Still fresh.
Yeah. And unexpected. Mark was young. He was in very good shape physically. And it was just out of the blue, So one of the toughest gigs I've ever walked into just because of the emotional factor.
How did it go?
It went well. It went really, it went good, and then I think I played one show, and then then I went to play Epcot. We did 4 in a row. They're like, that's Epcot Disney. It's American Gardens Theater. So at the time, the gig was 4 days in a row. So about the second or third night, Mickey asked me to join the band on stage. So it was very surreal. He is so cool. I mean, he said something to the audience to the effect of, or he got on the microphone and said, "Hey, John, did we pass the audition? You know, we like to."
Like you're auditioning, like they're auditioning for you, right?
Exactly. You know, just so humble and so cool. And I'm like, what am I going to say? I mean, if you know the answer, you know, of course I'm joining Starship. Sure. You know. So it was a bittersweet moment, you know, because the whole, you know, I still think about how I got in the band. I still think about Mark and just that whole situation. So, you know, you can't take anything for granted. You know, you don't know how long you're going to be here. You don't know how long they're going to be here. You know, you just got to do your best every day and live life in the moment, you know.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's transition to some of your local projects that you've been a part of.
Right on.
I met you through Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, exactly.
What a great band.
TDH.
And I talked to Corey about this same band when he was in here doing his interview.
What a fun band. Great
Man,
band.
I missed that band so much.
It was a lot of fun, man.
I got to know you guys through the Ted Parton era.
Yep.
As a bass player.
Oh, yeah.
And
Teddy P.
You guys were amazing. I miss it. Anytime you're ready to do a reunion, let me know.
Yeah, we should do that. We should do that. That band was a whole lot of fun, man.
Yeah, and
that came out of an acoustic duo. Actually, Corey and I were playing acoustic duos,
which you still do to this day.
We still do that, yeah, and that's a lot of fun. It's a blast. But Corey and I go back a very long way,
right?
And you know, he and I did gigs together. I guess. We were playing a place called Port when Jimmy was tuning up his band to go out and play the big shows. Jimmy Jameson.
Right.
We would do gigs with a band called Driving South that Corey was a part of.
I remember that.
And so that's how Corey and I met. And then I got done with the first long Winger run I did, and he and I started doing acoustic gigs. And then we're like, you know, let's bring Scott in, he'll play percussion. And then we're like, well, that's cool, but let's just make this a band.
Right.
So we ended up adding Gary Davenport, the bass player. It was in another band I played with, the Willies.
Okay.
Gary came in playing bass, Scotty T on drums.
Yeah.
Me and Corey, and we played like that for a very long time. The band went through some personal changes. And when you saw the band, Ted, another amazing musician, phenomenal bass player.
Yeah.
Ted was playing bass with the band by the time you saw us.
How did you come up with the name?
Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay, so we booked a gig, and literally, they're like, "Okay, what's the name of the band?" And I think it was Scott. It says, "Hold on a second." And it's like, "We named the band," and somebody said, "Like, I don't know, Tom, Dick, and Harry." You know, and that's how we named the band.
That's awesome.
So just the gig was booked, and
so you didn't sit for days, you know,
with a name
debating
with a name like Tom, Dick, and Harry. You think we would have like planned that shit? Oh, sorry. Once again,
no, you're good.
Where's your
much worse has been said on this program.
No, this is what we say to swearing.
Oh yeah,
just let it
rip. So yeah.
So my wife and I, we stumbled into the Crossing one night, and you guys are playing there,
right?
And of course, being a drummer, the first person I recognize is Scotty. I know immediately that's the guy that played drums for Roxy Blue.
Right on.
And then we sit down and we're listening, and I'm like, well, damn, that guitar player's no slouch either.
He's pretty good.
I learned who you are. And I'm like, okay, that's John Roth. And it's like, okay, this is a band of superstars that gets to play on the local level. Yeah. And a lot of people in this area just didn't even know.
What was the set list?
All over the place.
Yeah,
that's what I loved about
a lot
you
of
guys.
different stuff. I mean, Corey sings, a lot of modern country, and he does Elton John and Billy Joel. And at the time, I think he went through a phase where he was doing more grungier kind of vocals, and I've always done, classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, funk. I love funk and R&B, Isley Brothers, Sly and the Family Stone, Earth, Wind and Fire, all that kind of stuff. So we were doing that, and we mixed it up. It was fun.
Only band I've ever seen to go from Keith Urban to Van Halen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How long was the band together?
Yeah, that's a good question. We probably started late 90s, and then we probably played, until 2010, I guess.
Okay.
I think probably good 10 years.
Because I moved out here from Nashville in 2011, and I used to hear about this band, Fifth Kind. Never made it out. But always knew Wednesday nights at Dan McGinnis. You got to check out Fifth Kind. So what was the transition to that? Because obviously in 2011, Fifth Kind
both bands are still playing at the time. Scott had moved to Nashville.
So they're both kind of existing simultaneously?
Yeah. I was playing in both bands at the same time.
Okay.
I learned,
at the first stage of me playing Fifth Kind.
I learned about Fifth Kind from Corey I ran into him somewhere one night, and Corey's like, "Man, I know you love Tom, Dick, and Harry, but you got to come check out this new band I'm a part of, Fifth Kind." Well, hell yeah, I'm going to come check it out. And that's how I learned about you guys. And of course, at that time, it was you, Corey, Jeff, Carrie, and Pete.
Right.
And what a fantastic lineup. Let's talk about Fifth Kind. And
by the way, Fifth Kind is in the Wikipedia page. How about that?
Oh, wow. How cool.
Yeah.
Right on,
Yeah.
man. That's neat.
No Tom, Dick, and Harry, though. That's some bullshit.
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
whatever. Well, anyone can go and edit the page, you know.
Yeah.
So we could all go right now. And
It's funny you say that, Jeff, before you show up. He's like, how do you get on Wikipedia? I'm like, wikipedia.com. He's like, no, man. I was like, oh, never mind.
wiki.com.
how do you go in and make
Yeah, I don't know.
edits? Because I'll do that.
It's called the internet, Jeff.
Yes.
No, I was kidding. But okay, so Fifth Kind. Yeah, let's go.
How does Fifth Kind come to be, and you're a part of that, and how does all that?
Well, Corey Myers had started playing with Fifth Kind probably 2010 or something like that.
Yeah.
While I was going out a lot with Winger, and TDH wasn't working as much. Corey had started playing with them, and I think one of the band members had left. Oh, Keith had left. Keith Blanchard had left, and they needed a guitar player. And I wasn't playing in enough bands at the time, you know.
Right.
I'm like, I think I'll spread myself even a little thinner and join another band. But you know, my old buddy Jeff is in the band. That phenomenal keyboard player, Kerry Badur, Pete Mandillo. Yeah. Played with Pete before, just a couple gigs here and there.
Pete did some Tom, Dick, and Harry shows.
Yeah, he did. He did. He subbed for Tom, Dick, and Harry. And I played at a couple other gigs with him at a casino, and just a configuration of players that wasn't really even a band. But I couldn't resist, man. Like I said, I'm a sucker for a good time. Yeah. You know, I'm like, let's give this a shot and start playing with these guys. So that's how I started playing with Fifth Kind.
Well, you guys had a great run, and I'm sure I speak for everyone listening when I say that a reunion of that band would be fine.
It would be fun if we could get everybody in the same room at the same time.
it's a little difficult.
It got really hard in the end. Trying to book gigs. I always feel guilty if I have to cancel a gig, and
you and Jeff can just tell Mickey to chill out a little bit.
Well, it's you've got Jeff and I in Starship. I also playing in Winger, and Corey. And then toward the end of Fifth Kind, Corey started playing with Tom Kiefer Band. Yeah. So it was just to the point to where we can't really book a gig without having to cancel.
And our friend Jimmy Fault played in Fifth Kind.
Yep,
he did. He stepped in.
Love Jimmy.
Yeah,
Jimmy's great.
Would you like to talk shit about Jimmy for us?
You can't, because he's such a great guy. You can't. I'd have to fabricate a story. We could do that.
We can get off the air and make some shit up.
Yes, we can make something up that sounds very dangerous.
Right. We don't want to Hulk him up.
What you gotta do? Big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy came in after Pete had left the band. And probably, I guess, the last 4 years, probably half the time I was in Fifth Kind, I played with Jimmy.
Right.
And Jimmy's amazing drummer. He's multi-instrumentalist. He plays guitar and
great
keys
producer too.
Produces great. He's a very ensemble friendly player.
Right.
And he sings great too. So we had another singer.
Yes.
We had another singer.
As do you, sir.
Well, thank you.
Some people may not realize that, but you got a set of pipes on you as well.
Well, I sing to accompany my guitar.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Well, you do a great job. You did a great job. So,
what about the band Giant?
Yeah.
Because that was on your page as well. And Jeff, you'd mentioned it at the very beginning. Are you familiar with Giant?
I'm not super familiar with the more recent Giant, but of course they had a massive hit back in the late 80s.
See in My Dreams, right? Or I'm a Believer.
Amazing.
Right.
See in My Dreams, great tune, amazing song. But I did know that you had worked with them. Is that still ongoing? Are you still in touch with those guys?
I'm definitely still in touch with them. Not working with them on a record right now. They contacted me last year about doing, I've done 2 with them, and about doing a third one. I think they're making it right now. My scheduling wouldn't allow me to do it, but I first recorded with them, I think it's 2010, Promised Land record. And then I did Shifting Time, which came out 2 years ago.
Okay.
But that's another fun, cool story. Mike Brignadello, bass player for Giant, called me up, said, "Hey, Giant's getting ready to make a record." Dan Huff, of course, is I mean, Dan Huff was the nucleus of that band. Songwriting, he was the lead singer, he was a guitar player in the band.
And he was a huge session player, is that right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And since then morphed into one of the top producers in Nashville.
Yeah.
Mega talent.
Right.
So Mike's calling me. I think he's asking me to play in a band with Dan Huff. You know, I'm like, hell yeah, I'll play in a band. You know, where do we start? You know, but then as the conversation goes on, he's like, well, Dan's too busy. You know, of course, while he's saying that, I'm like, he's producing records. How can he do that too at the same time? So he said, no, we're getting ready. We got Dan's blessing. We got some of the old giant songs. We want to write new ones. We want to see, you know, are you interested in coming and playing, doing some songwriting? And I'm like, well, okay, so you want me to play the lead guitar chair on this album? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's kind of scary, but how can I say no?
Right.
Because trying to fill shoes, you don't fill Dan Huff's shoes.
Right.
You just go in there and freaking hold on for dear life and you know, do your very best.
I'm sure you hold your own just fine, John.
You do your best, man. But that was fun. Terry Brock, amazing singer. So Terry Brock and I used to he's the singer he came in and sang on the first Giant record, and he would say he would call himself Half Dan because Dan was the lead singer and the lead guitar player in the band. It took two of us to replace him, or not replace him, but to come in and make a record without him being there. Right. So Terry Brock, great singer. I made a Roth Rock project with him after that. He and I stayed in touch. Made another record for Frontiers Records years later. But a great, amazing band. I was a fan when they came out back in the day. I remember going to see Heart in Giant so that I could see Giant for the first time.
Nice.
You know, and David Huff, drummer, great guy. Mike Brignadello, just freaking awesome guys, amazing musicians. And I can remember that was one of the best sounding live bands that I'd ever heard, and never got an opportunity to hear them live after that.
Right.
And I've never played live shows because it was basically a recording project when I was in the band.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I was already.
Was that how you were able to balance the schedule? Because at this point, you're out.
Yeah,
you're running around.
I couldn't. You know, when I went in to play with them to do that record, I'm like, you know, it's understood that I'll probably never be able to do a live gig. It's like, no, this is really a recording project. Even though there's always hopes that you'll be able to play live, and it just didn't, you know, come to fruition because everybody's juggling different stuff. Mike's a first call session bass player, and Amy Grant's bass player. He's working all the time. David's producing. So we started doing we did the record with knowing that we probably weren't going to do any live gigs.
They just wanted you on the record because of what you could bring.
And I was proud to do it, man, because it was a feather in my cap. That's a great band, and anytime I can play with musicians like that, and give it my all, be able to do everything I can to make the project happen. I'm down with it.
Now, was that a project where you're able to record in your home studio and send them what they need, or did you go out to a studio to do that with them?
Well, by this time it was 2010, and that was everybody's schedules are crazy. I was on the road with Winger, so that was about the only way I could do it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I recorded all my guitar parts in my home studio and did all my vocals. And when we wrote songs, we passed things back and forth and got on the phone, kind of wrote on the phone and through the internet. And I think we got together on that record. We did cut some of the basic rhythm tracks live in the same room together. I remember going to Nashville and recording for doing 4 tracks. We were actually all in the room together. But everyone probably just erased their parts except for the drums and went home and redid them anyway. Just yeah, that's how that record. That's how, it was more a long distance kind of thing.
You're not a huge social media guy. I don't see you on social media very much at all. But I did see one post a while back when I think you were involved with the latest Winger album, and you were in your home studio doing some guitar work, and there was a little video you posted of that. I thought that's so cool because modern technology has allowed these guys. The days of all getting together and going into a studio for 6 months are over. You just and there's no telling what Kip Winger has as a home studio. I mean,
I'm sure it's pretty awesome.
All you guys have this stuff.
Yeah, it's just it enables everyone to be able to make albums and do other things at the same time. Right. And though we would more likely rather be in the room together, there's just not that kind of time carved out, in everyone's schedule to make albums.
You would have to think it maybe hurts chemistry, maybe that thought, the process of writing and coming up with ideas Does it hinder that at all that you're not in the same room together?
It depends on how well you can work with the technology, you know, and how comfortable you are working in that situation.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure it could, but like when I've written songs before with Kip, a lot of times it was just we're one-on-one, we're in the studio working together, but we've had some success and done some cool things, you know, just writing, you know, on the telephone or on Skype or whatever like that. It can easily be done.
Right.
Side note with Kip, has he always written symphonies? Like he's
always been into classical music. He studied at Juilliard. He's been studying classical music since before I knew him.
So you join Winger, and he's got that going on the side as well.
Well, he's was always studying then and writing things, and he's recently had some pretty good success with his classical music. Yeah.
I saw a thing.
He's been nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nashville Symphony has had him write 2 pieces for their symphony. So
I saw it may have been a Behind the Music or one of those shows like that I caught on television at some point, and it was about Kip and how he, you know, was doing the classical thing when, you know, the 80s had a moment where guys were doing super well, and then all of a sudden it felt like the rug's pulled out from under you.
Sure, it was time for something else to come in.
So he fell back on that. To pay the bills,
something he's
you know
always wanted to do and always done. And Ghost was his first. It was a string quintet was his first piece that he had success with. And it's been performed all over the world. And from there he went to conversations with Nijinsky.
Right.
And
he couldn't talk you into taking up the cello.
We're rock and roll guys, you know. We're rock guys, man. You know,
I get it.
That's funny.
Small group of people make big noise.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
So currently, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was going to ask, what does 2024 look like? You're in 2 major touring national acts,
and how you balance that is beyond.
Are you gone every weekend? Are you gone every other weekend? Between the 2, I got to think Claire wonders where the hell you're at.
Yeah, well, my wife's amazing. She puts up with my travel schedule. She's one of the main reasons that I'm able to do this and keep sane. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's definitely tough. And like you used the word balance. I feel like balance is everything in your life. You know, especially when you're a musician or no matter what you do. You know, you have to work. You got to provide for your family. You want to be with your family. But then with what we do, you've got to travel.
There's no other way. You can't avoid it. It involves travel.
It involves a lot of travel. So a lot of weekend warrior stuff. Continuing both bands all year.
Yeah.
Monsters of Rock cruise coming up.
Nice.
In the first week of March.
I'll carry your gear if you'd like.
Come on with it, man.
Okay.
How do you balance 2 major touring acts like that? How is that even possible?
Well, I started doing it when Reb Beach was. Well, Reb's still in Whitesnake, but they're not touring right now. So when I first started playing Starship, Whitesnake was on every other year. They play every other year a lot.
Gotcha.
You know, so every other year was what I would call hell year. When I look at my calendar and just scratch my head and go, wow, okay, so how can I be in 2 places at once? So anyway, long story short.
So Whitesnake was on their off year.
Winger would play a whole lot, and then that's when the heat was really on for me to be in both bands. Now, or to be able to make the gigs for both bands. Yeah. So, but long story short, I got a great sub, Howie Simon. He's filled in with me on tons of Winger gigs. He's done a couple Starship gigs for me.
Yep.
Buffalo, New York guy, lives in L.A. Great player.
So he subs for you back and forth, whatever band you need a sub for?
I've used a few different subs in Starship, but he's been my number one guy in Winger for a while. Donnie Smith subbed for me for a while. Y'all know, y'all probably know Donnie.
Absolutely. I want to interview Donnie as well.
Yeah, great musician, local.
Howie, Derek and I saw Howie sub for you with Winger in Nashville. You couldn't be at that show. And Howie, shout out, man, you were amazing.
Yeah, it was an awesome show.
Great show.
Great show.
Great player, great guy.
And I know you had Donnie Smith do some dates.
Exactly. Donnie was the first guy that subbed for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Donnie did.
And he's
for
still
3 or 4 years.
I still see him post about those times and how much he loved it.
Yeah,
and how
he was
much
a big
fun
fan too.
He is now a photographer and doing really well with his business there. And I don't think he's doing music much. Maybe I'm out of line saying that.
I've never met him personally.
But, super nice guy and just a great photographer. And when he picks up a guitar, he's just as badass as anybody.
Oh, and boy can play, man. No doubt.
I mean, if he's subbing for you, yeah. You know,
He
going
was
on the road with
super
Winger.
excited to come in and play with the band. He was a fan from the beginning of the band,
Right.
and he laid it down. Was able to do it for me for probably 3 or 4 years, and so I've been able to make it work. Having subs and people I can really rely on.
And then the band's understanding. Right?
Absolutely,
You get the support from both sides. You're like, hey, we know what you got to do next.
Right.
We love your feelings.
Right. I'm blessed to work with people that are
Because a lot of bands probably wouldn't want that, right?
Well,
some acts would want. No, we want our same players every show.
Sure,
but they're both supportive.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's great.
It's great.
Yeah, what a great place to be in.
Well, I've been able to see you play live with Winger, and now bucket list is I've got to get out to a Starship show and see you play with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as soon as
band's
you come,
on fire.
Whenever you come within driving distance, Derek and I are going to have to make a trip.
Yeah, you guys have got to see it.
I mean,
man.
we tried with Winger, but
and maybe that'll happen again too.
I hope so.
Get in your car, get on a plane, whatever. We can't be far.
Yeah,
but people can still listen to you and see you locally with Corey, right?
We do some local gigs. Yeah, Corey Myers.
How often are you guys doing your acoustic duo?
It's hard to say. Just whenever both of us are on the road and we see a hole in the schedule, we'll put some acoustic gigs on.
Because you guys do Mississippi Ale House, right?
We've done that.
I've seen
Lafayette's.
Yeah.
10th Inning is another place we play around town. We used to do Dan McGinnis. Yeah, man. So Sidecar's been a friend of ours is booking there, so we'll probably end up playing over there. Cindy.
Okay. I've been in touch with Cindy.
Yeah. Cindy Wilson. She's awesome. Man.
Nice.
Great gal. So yeah, but it's kind of sporadic. We do that around.
When you can.
Yeah. We
have some fun with your friends.
Yeah. Because it's fun. It's loose. We play songs that we remember songs as we're playing them that we haven't played in a very long time, and just get to be a little creative and have the freedom that you don't have when you're playing with the full band.
Well, that's awesome, man. So, are we leaving anything on the table?
Probably.
Of course we are, but as far as that, good point, Jeff. Yes.
You guys have covered a lot.
We covered everything in 60 minutes. That's how good we are. But no,
y'all are good, man. You got your list lined out, your talking points, and all that stuff, man.
But as far as anything that you'd like to add that we didn't catch on,
no, just go to johnroth.com, check out my dates. I have them all listed, whether I'm playing with Starship, Winger, or with local bands, the local acoustic thing I do. Not really playing with a local band right now, but I've always got something going on, man.
Yeah, you're busy
check out. Yeah, you'll see. I've got a Facebook page just like everyone else, and I'm not hard to find.
Well, man,
awesome.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
And
thanks for having me.
You have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come back,
awesome.
We can think of more things to discuss because your career is certainly more than what we touched on today.
Yeah,
but
it was a delight.
If not,
sure.
I'll come back in and make some stuff up.
That's fine. We can
come on.
tell it. Road stories.
Me and Jeff do it every week.
Yeah, man, it's part of the fun.
Yeah, it was truly a delight to have you here. Man.
Thanks for having
so
me.
cool
man.
meeting
Very
you.
cool.
Very
nice
nice.
show to have me.
And thanks for all the audience members that stuck around
Always.
for the whole interview. Right.
And unfortunately, as John said, he's not in a full band locally at the moment. But if you want to catch some amazing acoustic stuff, catch him and Corey Myers anytime they're around town. They do it, and you'll see Derek and I sharing those. If we see that they're playing, we will certainly throw that out there to our audience.
And speaking of sharing, man, you guys have just been stepping up. To sharing our content. I was just looking today as I record this, the Sarah Spain post, 15 shares.
Nice.
You have no idea how powerful that is, everyone, to share a post, because then it just launches into a different audience. And then I see people liking it that don't follow the page yet, so we get to invite them, add friends to personal pages. It just spreads like wildfire. So we're very appreciative of that, and we'd also love you to patronize our sponsor, right, Jeff?
Yeah, Hempville CBD, TRS 20 for 20% off at checkout. Those guys, we couldn't be here doing this without sponsors, and we appreciate them.
HempvilleCBD.com. So, and then free shipping after $50.
Yep.
So that's a good deal. And then we got awesome band sponsors, right, Jeff?
Seeing Red, Shawn Few, and Area 51. Thank you guys. Again, can't do it without you.
And I want to say this again. Normally we don't put up the band names because bands might be added mid-season.
Right.
So if the 20 bands that have joined by now, sorry we're not getting your names, but as we speak right now, we got those 3, which we're very happy for. So we appreciate you guys. And you can find all of this stuff therhythmsectionpod.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Rhythm Section Pod. So thanks again, and go see a band.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you, John Roth.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
All right, y'all take care.
See ya.